Hey everybody, long time no see. Welcome back. We're here with another Acceptable Casualties battle report. Today we got some Battlegroup, 500 points. We're going to be doing the Russians against the Germans. It's going to be a late war scenario, not necessarily Fall of the Reich, kind of mix and Fall of the Reich, and it's the regular standard rule book. They just do like a battle on the Eastern Front. So we'll be back in a second to go over the list for the Soviets and the Germans. As well, we are playing defense line. We'll be playing defense line. Be back in a flash. So here we have our 500 points of Soviets. It's going to be a battle rating of 35. Down here we have our forward HQ with the red banner. Next to him there is a rifle platoon there with the platoon commander. We got 4 rifle squads. There is a Maxim machine gun. I got the 82mm mortar and then a 45mm anti-tank gun. All the infantry squads as well as the platoon commander have anti-tank grenades. We also brought 2 ISU 152s and then 2 platoons of T-34 76s. This is what we're looking at right now for 500 points. We'll be back in a second to go over the Germans. So here we have Vin's 500 points of Germans. Up here, Vin has his forward HQ in a Panther. He has a platoon of Panzer IVs. Down here he has a Panzer Grenadier platoon. No upgrades with these guys, right, Vin? These are all just stock, right? Stock, yep. Okay. Vin also has a foot patrol, a sniper. He has the supply truck, an off-table 8cm mortar, and then he also has a 8cm time barrage going to be coming in. 500 points. Vin also paid for the Fanatic and he rolled a 3, so your battle rating is a 31 for this one. So that's what we're looking at. Like I said, we're going to do deployment for defense line in a second. We'll be back in a flash. The Soviets are going to be the ones actually defending on this. I lost the roll-off. We decided to just do a straight roll-off for it instead of a, I guess, a planned scenario. So yeah, so Soviets will be defending. Vin will be coming in on this table edge over here. We'll be back in a second for deployment. Alright, so we are back for deployment for defense line. Like I said earlier, Germany's going to be attacking from this table edge over here. This is Vin's probing force. It was the 2 reconnaissance teams, a sniper and his foot patrol, as well as 3 units that he brought on. So down here, Vin's sniper. Is that a foot patrol? Yep. Yeah. Then you got a Panzer IV, regular rifle squad, another rifle squad, and then another Panzer IV. So that's Vin lined up over here. For me, I set the objectives for this mission, so obviously one's going to be the train station up front. The second one is the crossroads. Those are both in my deployment zone. And then the third one is going to be back here at like this house, kind of like a command station for the forces holding the line over here. I was able to get 9 units on, and I was able to get 2 of them in ambush. So I have a rifle squad here, T-34 tucked behind this building over here, watching this flank. I have the platoon commander in that building to help assist with mortar spotting. I have a Maxim machine gun in that building. Behind them is a mortar. And then I have my forward HQ. Up over here I have another rifle squad. Back there is the 45mm kind of covering this entrance over here. And then there's that T-34 covering over there. I was able to put 2 units in ambush, so I have the 45mm in ambush. And then this T-34 down here. Before the game started, Vin rolled for weather. He rolled a 1, so there's thunderstorms. There'll be no planes coming in at all. We don't have any on our lists, but just in case there's a chip pulled, there won't be any air support. It'll just be 1 point for morale. And then Vin also rolled to pin 3 of my units before the game started. So unfortunately, randomly, my T-34 came up. My platoon commander, who's going to be there for spotting, is now pinned. And then my mortar in the back is pinned. So 3 pretty vital units are pinned on this side of the table. We'll see how it all plays out. Vin goes first. I did lose the recce battle in this one, so I will be pulling a chit. Vin has 2 recce units. I have none. So I'll be back in a flash for top of turn 1 for the Germans. So we are back for Germans top of turn 1. This turn, just a lot of movement up. Vin doesn't get reserves coming in until, I believe it's turn 3, I think. So Vin kind of just has to deal with what he has right now. So the infantry teams kind of just moved up to that rail line all the way across the table, give them a little bit of cover as they make a push toward the objectives. Down over there, that Panzer just pushed up into the woods over there to kind of give himself a little bit of cover and hang in. Over here, this Panzer IV pushed up to the top of the hill, fired one AP round down here. He was able to observe, but he actually failed to hit with the AP shell. So that's all that happened here for the top of turn 1. I had to pull a chit for my morale for losing Recce. That's really all that happened. I'll be back in a flash for Soviets, bottom of turn 1. We are back for the bottom of turn 1 for the Soviets, and wow, chances were taken. None of them paid off. So we ended up only rolling, I think we had a 3 with our 2 dice. I had 3 officers on the table, so they gave me 6 orders. But I had so many guys pinned, I couldn't even activate everybody. So what ended up happening was, first off, I had this rifle platoon, rifle unit that was down here. I pushed them up on the top of the hill, and I elected to just open fire down there on Vin. I ended up getting some pretty decent dice. I ended up getting 2 kills. Vin ended up passing his morale, so nobody was pinned on that one after the casualty, so pretty good on him for that. That T-34 that's over there, I had him over here. I decided to play aggressive and see if I can get the first shot off in that tank battle, so I moved him up, I think it was like 10 inches, and I tried to fire an AP round in there, but I failed to observe, so now Panzer IV against T-34 76. This should be interesting on that side of the table. Down here, with my Maxim machine gun that's in that building over there, I tried to pin these guys with the open fire order. I failed, and then with the second attempt for the open fire order, I said I was going to go to try to wound these guys, and I ended up not observing them, so that was a huge waste. And then I had my forward HQ that was back there. I ran him across into this building over here with a double move order and got him in there. So that's all that happened. I ended up pulling another marker, another chit from the bag so I can roll to unpin. Of course, I rolled a 1. So I only unpinned the T-34. So we're going to have to make do with what we got until turn 5 as well, because that's when our reserves come in. I don't know, man. The way things are going right now, I know there's no casualties on the table, but the way the dice are flying, this is a role reversal here. Things are going pretty good for Vin, looking pretty bad for me. So our first game back in a couple months might be a weird one.
Yeah, it might be a little weird.
Vin might mop the floor with me. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 2 for the Germans. So we are back for top of turn 2 for the Germans. This turn, Vin had enough of orders to get everybody moving on the table over here. So I guess we'll just kind of take it from the top and work our way down. So what ended up happening over here, Vin's Panzer IV had 2 wide open AP shots at the T-34. He ended up hitting them once, and then on the damage table, he needed more than a 5 to blow me up. He ended up rolling a 5 on the nose, and he ended up just pinning him. So the T-34 there is pinned. Then down here, between these guys and then this rifle team that moved up over there, they opened up on that rifle unit that was in the woods over there, inflicting 5 casualties and pinning the unit, so they're hurting, but I ended up passing my morale to keep them available to continue fighting. Vin then tried to drop a mortar bombardment over here, using this guy over here as his observer, but he failed to do that. Down here, then Vin took his Panzer IV, tried to pin, and then fired AP shell at this T-34 and failed. I returned fire with my ambush, and I just had a bucket full of fail as well. So nothing happened on that. Vin's sniper, who was sitting right here on the rail line, was able to get he was able to get 2 shots off. He was able to kill 1 guy off the gun. I passed my morale. He got a second hit with his second shot, but I had a 6-up save and saved him. And then I had to be on the Call of Duty test also that I passed earlier. So I returned fire on Vin, trying to pin him with some HE rounds. I got 1 shot to go through, and Vin is making us 4-up save, because that's what we're playing. The rail line's going to be hard cover up if you're up against it. I don't think anything else happened. Oh yeah, Vin opened up and was able to pin the Maxim machine gun team in here with his MG42 unit that was down here attached to the foot patrol. So that's what we're looking at here for top of turn 2 for the Germans. We'll be back in a second for bottom 2 for the Soviets. So we are back for bottom 2 for the Soviets. Oh man, so many opportunities. So to start the turn off, I did that, what is it? Is it tactical motivation? I forget, whatever the name of the rule is, where you use your forward HQ to try to unpin one of your units. I tried to unpin my T-34. As you can see, the chit is still over there, so they stayed pinned. I failed it. I think I rolled like a 1 for the morale test, so they're just hanging out. Down here with the 45 mil, I was able to fire down and pin the sniper with some HE fire from that gun, which was kind of nice. What else was I able to do over here? There wasn't really that much that kind of happened. Down here with the T-34, they were in this position. I decided to get aggressive and push up to here. I got to there, and I actually got a AP shot to punch through on Vin. I needed a 7 or 8 to blow him up. I ended up rolling a 5. Vin passed his morale, so it kind of just glanced and bounced off. So we're just kind of staring at each other over here at this railway right now. How that's looking. I pulled another shit. Man, I'm pulling shits like it's nobody's business to try to unpin some units, and I only rolled 2. So I unpinned my mortar and my Maxim machine gun here in the middle of the table to try to hold the infantry back a little bit. But good golly, Vin got some reserves coming in here top of turn 3. It's not looking too hot for the Ruskies here. We're gonna have to start pinning a couple more units and doing a little more damage. So I'll be back in a second for top 3 for the Germans. As when you figure out what a turn away from the push coming over the railway here. So we'll be back in a flash, see how this thing plays out. Oh, the humanity. We're back from the top of turn 3. It just keeps getting worse for the Soviets. So up here, we'll just take it from the top. Vin, you got like 11 orders?
10.
10 orders, okay. So Vin ended up getting 5 reserves on the back line as well. So Vin had his Panzer IV take 2 pot shots. He blew up my T-34 over there, which was really unfortunate. So they ended up getting smoked. Down here, these guys ended up opening up a bunch of rifle fire into that pinned and wounded unit that was up there. He ended up killing 2 guys, and then I just had to roll a morale test. I ended up getting them beyond the call of duty. I ran in to try to assault these guys in close assault. One last hurrah with some grenades and some DP fire. I ended up having 5 dice. I only did 2 wounds. Vin made his 2 saves. Vin had 3 shots in return, just wiped them guys out to a man. So that was unfortunate. But I think in the process, I ended up pulling a low ammo counter, which has these guys out of ammo down here. So I lost that unit. Pretty decent trade-off, though. It was low ammo for a banged-up unit. Could have gone better, but it didn't. Another thing that happened down here is you guys can see all the smoke markers. Vin had a time barrage down here, the 4 8-centimeter tubes. Dropped a boatload of dice in here. There were 2 casualties taken to my forward HQ unit that was in there, but I did not get pinned, which was kind of huge. I had another Beyond the Call of Duty test, and I ended up getting that when I was taking all the pinning checks, so that worked out really well. What else ended up happening down here? Oh yeah, over here, Vin ended up pinning my T-34. He got an AP shot to go through, and he ended up rolling double ones and immobilized the unit. Then I ended up failing the morale, so they are immobilized and pinned. Vin dropped a couple mortars from his 8-centimeter off-table regular mortar, was able to pin my Maxim machine gun and pin my my mortar in the back over here. Just a lot of pinning and damage. I think I had like 1 unit left. Yeah, and then down here, Vin fired a couple machine guns with his MG42. This unit ended up getting pinned and took 1 casualty in the process. Like, I think the only active unit I have left on the table right now, besides my forward HQ in this building, is the 45 millimeter in the back over there. We are in bad shape. So we're gonna see what happens here for bottom of turn 3. Like I said, the Germans, man, they're pushing. So I have no idea what I'm gonna do right now. This is just a hot mess. So we'll be back in a flash. Bottom turn 3 for the Soviets. We're back for bottom turn 3 for the Soviets. It's raining up in the sky, no air can come in, and it's just downpouring right now on on my poor Ruskies. So this turn, I ended up rolling 10 orders. I only had 2 active units, so couldn't really do anything. With my forward HQ, I tried to unpin a unit once again and failed. Over here, I just gave my 45 millimeter. I gave him the ambush order because I didn't have any targets to really fire at, and I figured it'd be better off that way. So that's all I could do on my turn. I don't have reserves coming in for another 2 more turns. So at the end of my turn, I opted to pull it shit to try to unpin some of these units just to kind of hold the line. So first time I pulled, I rolled a 1 again, which unpinned these guys here. I elected to pull a second shit for another roll, and I ate a little bit more morale on that, and I rolled a 4 though, so I got everybody unpinned on the table, but I don't know if it's going to make a lick of a difference at this point. There's a lot of Germans coming over, and I'm getting chewed up over here. So we're going to need some heroics here from the Ruskies going into the top of turn 4 for the Germans. We'll see how this thing plays out. So we are back for the top of turn 4 for the Germans, and the push continues. So on this turn, Vin rolled enough orders to get everybody activated and get all his reserves in. So everybody's off that back table edge and in the fight at this point. Over here, Vin was able to resupply that Panzer IV and come down here, and he blew up my T-34. So all my tanks are off the front line and in shambles right now. After that, Vin tried to drop mortars, machine gun fire, HE rounds from a whole bunch of different units, but couldn't get a pin off on the Maxim machine guns in here. So that might play pretty well for me next turn. We'll see how that plays out. Vin's starting to push some Panzer IVs up around over there. Some infantry starting to push up to the hilltop over here, and they're going to be supported down on this end, as you guys can see, sprinkled along the back. There's some machine gun teams and rifle squads coming in off that back table edge. Like I said, we got 2 more turns. Well, 1 more turn, and then I get reserves in the next turn. But man, it's going to be rough. Holding this off. Like I said, it's mostly like a bunch of light machine gun fire that's left on my defensive line right now, and then 1 AT gun. I don't have any mortars or anything in this list. I brought this list as tanks, and they're not coming in on for another turn and a half. So we'll see how it plays out. Maybe I can get a couple wounds here and start pinning some units. We'll be back in the flesh. Bottom turn 4 for the Soviets is coming up. We are back for bottom of turn 4 for the Soviets. We only had one thing that really went down here. So I ended up having my mortar back there. I spotted with my platoon commander who's over here. There's a window on the back side of that house. I was able to drop a ranged aim marker over here. Of course, I rolled a wild scatter. So I had 4 dice, scatter in 14 inches, and it landed directly on top of the Panzer IV. I was thinking maybe things work out. I can get a mobilized result. I ended up rolling double 1s for the damage, so nothing happened at all to those guys. And then down here with the Maxim machine gun, I tried to pin the MG42 as well as the foot patrol rifle team, and I failed to pin. I needed what, 5s? Yeah, I think I rolled like a 1 and a 3. That's all I can get here. That's it. Like I said, the 45 mils staying in ambush over there. These guys are in ambush over here. That's all I have on the table right now. Next turn, I will get some reserves on the table, but I gotta survive until next turn. So we're going back for top of turn 5 for the Germans. The push across the rail line should start happening soon, so I'll be back in the flash. We are back for top of turn 5, and the Germans are rolling over the rail line. In this turn, Vin only had, what, 6 orders?
6 orders, yeah.
But he made him count. So down here, the Panther and the Panzer IV, they all pushed up. Vin was able to, with mortar fire, with spotter from them as well. So like I said, the tanks just pushed up. We had a spotter over here, drop a mortar tube over there. He ended up killing 2 guys in the Maxim machine guns that were in there and pinning my platoon command over here. I failed my morale on the Maxim machine gun, so they ended up breaking. I had to pull a chit for that. And then up over here between the tank and the rifle, Vin fired an HE round from the Panzer IV. Ended up getting 3 hits.
Yeah.
I rolled 2 6s and a 1, so I lost 1 guy, and I passed my morale, and they hung in. And then with some rifle fire, Vin was able to pluck out 1 more, but I passed my morale to not get pinned. So they're down to 1 guy here as well. So I got some units like really hanging on by a thread at this point. But I think if Vin had some more activations here, it could have gone a lot worse than it did. So we're going into bottom of turn 5. Maybe I can start getting some reserves on here and see how this thing plays out. So we'll be back in a second. Bottom 5 for the Soviets. So we are back for bottom of turn 5. Don't be fooled by the T-34s. They just drove onto the table. So, of course, this turn I got like 13 orders or whatever. I got like 5 reserves that came in. So I have my 5 T-34s coming from that back. 3 T-34 76s coming from that back. I pushed them all the way up as far as I could over here. So they're kind of holding maybe to get into a gunfight with those Panzer IVs over there next turn. Down on this side, I have the ISU 152 and another T-34 that came in off of that table edge down over here on the road. I pushed them up aggressively over here to kind of support the middle of the table. The rifle team that was in this building, I opted to push them up to get them a little bit closer to the woods over there, play aggressive here at the end. Down over here, the mortar team that was there, I just had to run them into the building. I had nothing else I could do with them, which was kind of unfortunate. Fort HQ stayed there. These guys stayed pinned. And then back over there with my 45 mil, I fired 2 shots down here. I was able to observe twice, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do any damage. So, right, I didn't even hit with the AP. I think I needed 6s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that didn't work out. Oh, man, the light's going out. Yeah, I know, it's almost the end. It's a sign. Lights are almost out on this one. So we'll be back in a flash for top of turn 6 for the Germans. See if Vin can put the nail in the coffin. We'll be back in a flash. We are back for top of turn 6 for the Germans. They're just starting to get aggressive. So we had down here, Vin, you had like 13 orders or something?
12.
12 orders, okay. So down here, Vin has Panzer IV that was back there, pushed him around, decided to try to open up with a HE shot into those guys, ended up failing the hit. The Panther over here was able to observe, but failed to hit the T-34 down here. The Panzer IV that's over there was actually able to blow up one T-34 over here with the side armor shot, just blew his top off. I had to pull a chit for that. I pulled the aircraft chit. Since it's cloudy out, thunderstorms, there's no planes today, so I just took one morale. So, man, it's a slow bleed right now. I'm getting closer and closer. So we're kind of hanging by a thread at this point. The rest of the stuff that happened, Vin had a whole bunch of rifle machine guns over here, firing down into my one mortar who was sitting in the building right there, and Vin could not get anybody to observe the unit. It was awesome. I think you failed like, what, 5 or 6 attempts in a row?
5.
Yeah, it was 5 attempts in a row.
Yeah,
so
it was bad.
they're still alive in there. And that's kind of all that happened here. Is like a lot of guys just pushing up to form that second line along the railway, getting ready to make a push on some of these objectives over here. Like I said, I'm still contesting that one with the platoon command over here. But that's all I have left in the front line right now. So I'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 6. I got 1 tank left and 2 rifle squads left. So we'll kind of see what happens if they come off that back table edge and can make a difference. So bottom turn 6 for the Soviets. We'll be right back. We are back for the bottom of turn 6 for the Soviets. As you can see, night is beginning to fall on this game. The work light that we use for our lighting has gone down. So the overcast has gotten a little heavy at this point. For orders, I had enough orders to kind of activate everybody that I wanted to, as well as I got all the reserves and off the back table. So for this turn, I had the T-34 down here, fire, and I was able to get a shot off, but I failed to penetrate, but I ended up pinning him, which was kind of big. So the Panzer IV over there is pinned. The 45 mil, I tried to fire down here into the Panther. Couldn't do anything, even though I had like some pretty wide open shots. So what I had to do instead was take that ISU 152, rolled him around, and was able to pin the Panther over here. That opened up me moving my infantry up into the woods over here. And then with this T-34 that was previously over here, I swung him around, tried to get point blank with that Panzer IV, and I failed to hit. So they're not in a good position right now. And that's kind of all that I was able to do this turn as far as firing goes. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 7 for the Germans. See if Vin can start making a push over that railway and maybe start taking some of these objectives. So we'll be back in a flash. So we are back for top of turn 7 for the Germans. It took 1 order and the game ended. So Vin's first shot with the Panzer IV and that T-34 punched the AP round right through the hull. Ended up smoking everybody in the crew in there. I had to pull a chit. It was a 4. I only had 2 battle morale left. So that's the end of the game. Germans aggressively push across the railway, take the village, beat back the Soviet horde. We'll be back in a second to go over the end of game recap with our beautiful mood lighting. So we'll be back in a flash. So we are back for the end of game recap. This was just like a pants down ass whooping. This went bad from turn 1 all the way through for me as far as it's just morale dice and getting pinned. Like it was bad, and like I was pulling just tons of high number counters. I think they had like 3 or 4 4s and I think a 5 in there. Yeah, this was pretty bad for the Soviets. My initial plan was to kind of hold the line right here with some of these village houses that you can see going across right there, and to kind of put together like a ragtag defense where I can get some hard cover in there and then cover the alleyways, like I said, with that 45 mil coming down over here, and then using some of my other tanks to cover some of the blind spots around that hill up there and then around this forest in between that gap there. But like I said, it just didn't come to fruition early. I took a couple of risks, especially on the north side over there with that T-34, and so my dice just failed me. I took a couple of shots, and then when Vin returned fire, he just capitalized on it real well. I knew I didn't have reserves coming in until turn 5, so I could have tried to stay back a little bit, but I figured if I was able to maybe punch a hole in some of his assets in one of his flanks, whether it was over there or whether it was down here, I might have been able to kind of roll him and put maybe his tanks. Because he only had, what, 4 tanks?
Yeah, 4 tanks.
Yeah, I figured I might be able to put his tanks in a position to where I'd be able to get some side armor shots if I could have taken out, like I said, that Panzer IV up there on that edge. I think it would end up being that one. But like I said, that didn't play out. And then turn 5 for those reserves to get in. It was just too late to really save anything for me. Like I said, I took so many casualties, had so many guys pinned. I think I pulled 4 chits in the first 2 turns or 3 turns for that tactical, the command motivation with the forward HQ. I did that twice. And then the unpin units, I had to do that 3 times in the first like 3 or 4 turns because I had so many units pinned that were out of the fight. I didn't have enough guys left active to really even defend the positions that I had on the table. So yeah, that was good on Vin as far as keeping everybody pinned, keeping everybody down, and forced me to pull chits, not because of casualties, but more for keeping my guys unpinned and keeping them in the fights. That was, I think, the turn of the battle. I don't want to say there was a turn in the battle. This was bad right out of the gate. But that was what kept me on my back foot the entire fight. I couldn't get dug in, and I couldn't get any of your guys really pinned until late in the game. And by then, it was already a done deal. I was just waiting for you to land that death blow for the last 3 turns. And that's pretty much what happened. Yeah, so
that's how I usually feel.
Yeah, that's what, so Vin, what are you thinking, man, as far as how this goes?
Went perfect. My main plan was literally just concentrate on that one building. Because I figured that was where everything was gonna really just...
Yeah, I had the mortars there. I had my Maxim there. I was kind of hoping that was going to hold down the middle as far as keeping your infantry pinned back. But like I said, once you kind of neutered that part of the table, that was it.
It was just a slow push. That was pretty much it.
You literally... You could have ended this game on turn 4 if you would have seen my chick. I think I was down to like 10 or 11.
Oh, by turn 4?
By turn 4, yeah, I was down pretty low. So I think like you slowed it down. If you would have pushed drastic, like a little bit heavier, you probably could have ended the game by turn 5. All you had to do was really take that objective, and then that would have been lights out for me because I was hurting with like if you'd taken that and maybe punched out another unit, it would have been done by turn 4 or 5.
Oh,
it was pretty bad. And this is like your first
Battlegroup win, actually. Yeah.
Is it your first Battlegroup win?
Yeah, I think so.
It is your first Battlegroup. Yeah, so good game on Vin, man. Vin came to the table today. He hurt my pride a little bit. I guess this is what happens when we haven't done a battle report like a month and a half. Yeah, I'm gonna chalk this one up more to like rust than anything else. Yeah, that was just rusty. That's all it was. It's just a little bit of rust.
I think actually what it was. I wanted to bring this up early too. Was in the beginning of the match, I got to roll a D3 to see how many people were pinned, and we roll a 2D6. To decide who gets...
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up getting, what was it, the Maxim, the mortar...
And the T-34.
The T-34, which allowed me to just go wherever I wanted.
Yeah, that gave you a little bit of... Yeah, and that place that forced me to pull a chit, too. Yeah, that did make a little bit of a difference early on, because I had to pull the one for the recce.
Yeah.
And then I had to pull one to unpin. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't going well for me early in the game. So yeah, I just want to say thanks for watching. Also, a heads up for those of you guys out there like watching like historical battle reports, whether it's for Battlegroup, Flames of War, or whatever. Check out House of Hengist over on YouTube. They do like a ton of like really like heavy narrative battle reports. Really good stuff. Check them out. I think they're doing some early war campaigns. I think they just got done with Belgium and they're going to start pushing into France soon. But yeah, check them out. They usually put something out like maybe like once a week or something like that. So if you really like historically themed battle reports, they're the way to go, man. They got a lot of great stuff out there. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Hopefully we'll start getting back in the groove and getting stuff out like every week or every other week from here on out. So we'll catch you guys later.